Picture a city where normal life has stopped, power is gone, water systems fail, stores are empty, and supply trucks never arrive. In that environment, the idea of wealth changes faster than most people can imagine. A gold necklace might once have represented months of income, status, and financial security. But when daily survival becomes uncertain, that same necklace cannot cook a meal, purify water, or keep a family warm at night. Its value becomes theoretical, while practical needs become urgent and immediate. Documented accounts from wartime sieges show this shift clearly. People who once relied on savings, salaries, or valuable possessions suddenly found those assets difficult to exchange for what they truly needed. Meanwhile, simple items like lighters, batteries, soap, and basic tools gained importance because they solved real problems. Fire meant the ability to boil water, prepare food, and stay warm. Hygiene items helped reduce disease risk in unsanitary conditions. These were not luxuries. They were daily survival requirements. This does not mean gold has no value at all. Historically, precious metals can play a role in preserving wealth over long periods and across political changes. But in the most intense phase of a breakdown, when systems stop working and people focus on immediate needs, priority shifts toward direct utility. Items and skills that support food, water, shelter, and health become the foundation of exchange and cooperation. The core lesson is simple. In severe disruptions, practical usefulness often matters more than stored financial value. Tools, supplies, and know-how can support daily life when formal systems fail, while traditional symbols of wealth may offer little short-term help. As people begin to lose confidence in money, another dramatic change can happen even faster than most imagine. When currency no longer works as a reliable way to buy food or other necessities, entire systems can revert almost overnight to something closer to barter, where goods and services are exchanged directly. This is not theoretical. In recent modern crises, the rapid breakdown of monetary systems forced everyday life to adapt in real time, with people turning to direct exchange simply to survive. Take Venezuela as a recent example. Over the past decade, the country has experienced prolonged economic contraction and extremely high inflation that eroded the value of its currency. As the local currency became less trusted, many Venezuelans began relying on alternative forms of exchange, including foreign currency or direct barter for basic goods and services. Cash that once bought essentials became increasingly difficult to use for simple transactions. People adapted by seeking items and exchange mechanisms that held more stable practical value. History also offers longer examples of this pattern. In Argentina, long-running periods of high inflation and monetary instability have repeatedly undermined purchasing power. At times, confidence in the currency dropped so much that informal barter markets emerged for goods that people needed most. When a currency loses its role as an effective medium of exchange and store of value, communities often revert to pre-industrial trade logic, placing value on the actual usefulness of goods rather than their price tag. This means items like food, fuel, and materials that can serve daily needs become more important than financial assets that depend on formal monetary systems. In these environments, the way people think about value shifts profoundly. Money stops functioning as a reliable unit of account, and survival becomes tied to the ability to secure, produce, or exchange tangible resources. This shift from monetary exchange to barter is not gradual. In severe breakdowns, it can happen within months. When trust in money collapses, societies look for other ways to keep the essentials moving, and that is when everyday goods become the real currency of survival. As communities adapt to barter and practical exchange, another pattern becomes clear. The people who fare best are often those with direct access to food production. History offers a strong example in the United States during the Great Depression. While many urban families struggled after losing jobs and wages, households with access to productive land had a different kind of security. Even when cash income was low or non-existent, gardens, small livestock, and food preservation skills allowed families to keep eating and maintain a degree of independence from unstable markets. This same principle appeared on a national scale during the Second World War. Victory gardens, planted in backyards, empty lots, and community spaces, supplied a significant portion of the country's vegetables. These gardens were not luxury hobbies. For many families, they were an economic necessity that reduced reliance on strained supply chains. Food grown at home meant fewer purchases required and more flexibility when goods were rationed or scarce. Land stands out because it produces tangible output. It can grow food, support animals, and create goods that can be shared or traded locally. Unlike financial assets that depend on functioning markets and stable institutions, productive land continues to generate value in physical form. That value may be vegetables, fruit, eggs, milk, or preserved foods that last through seasons. The key idea is not speculation, but resilience. Productive capacity acts as a form of insurance grounded in real output. When formal economic systems are stressed, the ability to produce part of what a household needs can reduce vulnerability. In difficult times, the security that comes from growing food and understanding how to store it can matter more in daily life than numbers on a financial statement. As the focus shifts from stored wealth to human capability, another pattern becomes even clearer. In difficult economic periods, people who possess practical, everyday skills often maintain their ability to participate in exchange, even when formal jobs and stable wages disappear. These skills act like a form of personal capital that cannot be locked away, frozen, or easily taken. They exist in knowledge, experience, and the ability to apply them when needed. Historical accounts from major downturns show that individuals who could grow food, repair equipment, build or maintain shelter, sew or mend clothing, preserve food, or offer basic care remained useful within their communities. These activities are directly connected to essential needs such as nutrition, housing, clothing, and well-being. Even when money became scarce, the demand for these services did not vanish because the underlying human needs did not vanish. This type of value differs from financial or physical stores of wealth. Skills can be used repeatedly, creating ongoing benefit rather than sitting idle. They can also be adapted to different situations. Someone who understands tools and materials can shift from one task to another as needs change. In this way, practical knowledge supports resilience, allowing people to respond to problems instead of waiting for systems to recover. The comparison with passive assets is important. A bar of gold may hold value in a long-term financial sense, but it cannot directly repair a roof, maintain a water system, or help preserve a harvest. A skilled person, on the other hand, can contribute to daily life in tangible ways. In uncertain times, the ability to do useful work becomes a steady foundation, turning human capability into one of the most dependable forms of security. As practical skills shape how people contribute, the types of goods that hold value also change. In severe disruptions, everyday items that support daily living often become more important in trade than large or expensive equipment. Accounts from crisis conditions show that small, essential goods can circulate widely because they meet immediate needs and are easy to exchange. Items related to hygiene, basic care, simple energy sources, and light tend to stand out. Soap, cleaning products, basic first aid materials, batteries, and simple fire-starting tools are examples often mentioned in historical reports from disrupted environments. These goods share common traits. They are portable, can be divided into small units, and serve practical functions that many households require regularly. Because they are useful in ordinary routines, they remain relevant even when supply chains are strained. In contrast, larger or more complex technology may be harder to rely on. Equipment that requires significant fuel, maintenance, or specialized parts can become difficult to operate when infrastructure is unreliable. Simple tools, on the other hand, usually have fewer points of failure and can be used in a wider range of situations. Their value comes from consistent usefulness rather than advanced features. The key shift is how worth is defined. Instead of price tags or brand names, people focus on function. Does the item help with cooking, lighting, cleaning, or basic comfort? Can it be shared or traded in small amounts? Can it be stored without special conditions? When these questions guide decisions, modest everyday goods often move to the center of exchange. In challenging times, practical utility shapes value more strongly than cost or complexity. As the focus moves from individual items and skills to the bigger picture, one final factor stands out. People rarely get through difficult periods alone. Strong community connections often make a measurable difference in how well individuals cope with stress, uncertainty, and material shortages. When formal institutions struggle, informal networks of neighbors, families, and local groups can help share information, coordinate resources, and support one another in practical ways. Trust plays a central role. People are more willing to exchange goods, offer help, and collaborate when relationships already exist. A neighbor who knows your abilities may trade services. A local group may organize shared solutions for common problems. These networks do not replace official systems, but they can provide an additional layer of resilience when those systems are under pressure. Looking at the full pattern, preparation appears most effective when it is diversified. Access to some form of food production, practical skills that solve everyday problems, and a supply of simple, useful goods all contribute to stability. These elements support daily life directly and can function even if markets or institutions are disrupted. Precious metals may still play a role as a long-term store of value in more stable phases, but they are not designed to meet immediate needs on their own. The broader lesson is about balance and capability. Instead of relying on a single type of asset, building a mix of practical capacity, knowledge, and relationships can reduce vulnerability. Productive ability and cooperation form a foundation that supports households through a wide range of challenges. In uncertain times, the combination of useful skills, essential supplies, and trusted community ties can matter more in daily life than any one financial holding.